Hi guys, Space Panther here. So today I want to take a few minutes to talk to you about the F word, Fukushima, and specifically how you can protect yourself during this time. Fukushima has been going on since March 11th, 2011, so we're nearing the 6-year anniversary in just about 2 weeks here. And there's no end in sight. They're predicting that it could take up to 40 years to get it under control. Meanwhile, you have 300,000 tons, remember a ton is 2,000 pounds, dumping radioactive elements, radioactive isotopes into the Pacific Ocean every day. The entire west coast of North America is just being slammed with radioactive elements. All of the California beaches, they've turned up. The main ones we're talking about is cesium-134 and 137. Cesium can go in and damage the lining, the tissues of your heart and your endocrine system. Although it is easy to extract, it's easy to get out of you. Also strontium-90, which goes in and damages your bones. That one is not so easy to get out. Also radioactive iodine-131, which really affects your thyroid. There's also radioactive potassium, but that's not quite as a threat as the strontium, the iodine, and the cesium. So radioactive elements, so when I talk about radioactive isotopes or just radiation, I'm talking about those elements. And when I say radiation, I'm talking about the radioactive decay. These are decaying elements, and they lodge into our body and they decay our body, literally unraveling our DNA, causing a whole host of problems, ultimately cancer and death. In the 70 years that scientists have been studying this, they have not found one case of an animal study surviving nuclear radiation. They've been studying it for 70 years, and no matter what, not one study has an animal ever survived. So it's a pretty dire situation. I've seen estimates that within 10 years we're facing a mass extinction. Despite all of this, I think it's important not to get too negative. I guess I'm speaking also for myself because this has been a really hard thing for me to accept. But we never know what's going to happen. You know, there could be a huge global change. Japan could just be taken under the ocean. You know, there could be a huge global event. We could have extraterrestrial help. You know, there's definitely higher intelligences that are probably watching the situation. And if nothing else, I mean, humans could also, you know, I know there's certain mushroom spores that can absorb radiation. We could have some human inventions which could help lessen that time frame. But if nothing else, just recognize that we're here now for a specific reason. There's the reason your soul chose to incarnate in this place in this time. And trying to not resist, I guess. You know, I mean, do everything you can do, but when I say non-resistance, it's a psychological resistance, and it's hard, and I've been, so my story, the reason I've gotten so into this lately is last April, shortly after we moved to LA to Long Beach, my hair started falling out in handfuls, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get it to stop. You know, I gave up all the acidic foods. I gave up gluten, I gave up soy, I gave up alcohol, cannabis, kratom, I did green juices every day, yoga, I sat in the sauna, I got massages. Everything I could possibly do, and my hair just kept falling out. And, you know, when I tell people I've lost so much hair, they're like, oh, your hair looks fine, but it's not fine. You can puff things up a lot, you know, and when I rub my hands through my hair, and when 7 hairs come out, that's not normal. So as this was happening to me, I started noticing hair more because I was paying so much attention to my own hair, and just seeing so many women in Long Beach where we were living, had premature balding and hair loss. When I say balding, I don't mean completely bald, but their ponytails. You know, I would go to yoga to see the women's ponytails would be like this big. And also I do massage, so I'm very close with people's scalps. And I would say 85% of the women I was in contact with in Long Beach had premature hair thinning. It was rare. It wasn't everyone, you know, it was rare that people had a really full, thick head of hair. And actually, the women who did have really thick hair were usually mixed races, like half Asian, half white, half black, half white. And I think that's because they have people of mixed races have genetic superiority. They're genetically stronger, so they can handle the assault more. That's my personal theory. But definitely something was happening. And not just Long Beach, all of LA. Mango spent time in Orange County, said the same thing. And most people aren't looking at other people's hair, but so they don't notice this, but we really started to, and you can just see it, you know, like looking in grocery stores, you can see if women are trying to, you know, they'll use a lot of hairspray, they'll puff it up, or they just don't care, and you can just see scalp under the hair. So of the people I would talk to about, a lot of people seem kind of like oblivious, like, oh really, your hair's falling out? Oh, weird. You know, when I mentioned I think it's from Fukushima, people would be like, oh, I don't think so, you know, and it was even the women who were like, yeah, my hair's falling out too. I heard theories of one woman was like, I think it's because the chemtrails, you know, and that's the thing is like we are being assaulted on multiple fronts. It is in the air, in the chemtrails, it is the water, you know, the fluoride, which is in pretty much almost every city in the U.S., not Reno, thank God, because that's where we grew up, but you're getting fluoride every day, which damages your thyroid and can lead to hair loss. You know, the GMO foods, the vaccines, all the pesticides. We're being assaulted on so many fronts, but nothing is as powerful as Fukushima because there's no stopping it, and there's no way to really. There are ways to remove it from the environment, actually, and this is what I'm going to focus on. So I made a list of how you can detox from radioactive isotopes. They're being absorbed into our body. All of the independent research groups that are studying this, and not even independent, I mean the FDA, the USGS, like there's actually government agencies studying and doing reports, just the media isn't reporting on them. But like all of the pollen in LA is radioactive because the trees are absorbing it from the air, the ocean air right there. The trees are absorbing it, then they flower, and then their pollen. LA is full of radioactive pollen. The three biggest cities that are really being hit from Fukushima is Portland, Los Angeles, and Boulder, Colorado. It's interesting because you're like, oh, that's not the West Coast, Boulder. But the thing is all of the rainwater from North America comes from the Pacific Ocean. So yes, the West Coast is getting hit the strongest because it's right there. I mean, Hawaii's fucked. Like, and it's yeah, I would be curious to hear from some people in Hawaii about how things are there and how health is and how people's hair is. Because the hair is like the canary in the coal mine. You know, it's your outermost system. So I kind of see it as a blessing in disguise that this happened to me because now it's really forcing me to take these measures into my own hands. So it is the whole U.S. I think I made a list because I don't want to waste your time. So if I'm looking over here, I made a list of things you can do to detox because there's a lot. And I've spent probably the last 6 months researching this and researching Fukushima and specifically these radioactive isotopes, how they get into our tissues, what they do, and how we can remove them and fight back. So first of all is location. Because of the ocean currents, the radiation from Fukushima is mostly in the northern hemisphere. There's been some reports of in Brazil and Australia, but it mostly stays in the northern hemisphere. So if you're able to move to the southern hemisphere, do it. I wish we could move to the southern hemisphere. I mean, we talked about wanting to move to Colombia. Now that this is going on, I don't know, maybe Suriname or Guyana or Brazil. I mean, we'll see. We'll see once we have the money. We're not in the financial situation to be able to move right now, unfortunately. But if you can, and if you're able to, I'd really recommend moving. And if you need to stay in the U.S., Florida is probably the best to be in. That's the most southeast state, so you're the furthest away there. But again, it's everywhere because the Floridians are eating food from California and from the Midwest. You know, all the water in the Midwest comes right from the Pacific Ocean. It goes up over Canada and dumps it in the Midwest. So move if you can't move to the south, southern hemisphere. At least try to be closer to nature. Nature has this miraculous ability to take in human errors and make them a little better, a little cleaner. So living by trees is really good. Trees are really porous, so the wood absorbs some of these elements and creates fresh air for you. So I'm really happy now to be living in Rockland, just a little east of Sacramento, because we're 2 hours from the coast instead of 1 minute. Before we were just 2 blocks from the beach, which sounds awesome, like, oh, you're so close to the beach. But once I realized what a big problem Fukushima was, we didn't really go to we would go to the beach, but we never swam in the ocean. It's sad. It's sad that this has to be what we have to experience, but we're here for a reason having this experience. So if you can't move, there's things you can do to at least strengthen your body so that you will be stronger in the face of this. And in 10 years, when everyone is dying of cancer, I hope that's not the case, but if that is the case, at least you'll be a little better off. So it consists of 3 things: strengthening your system so it can handle this assault of these toxicities, taking in supplements that can energetically, magnetically bind to the radioactive elements you have stored in your tissues, and then getting them eliminated. So strengthening, pulling and binding, and elimination. So to strengthen your body, I would really recommend 100%, maybe not 100%, but a high plant-based diet. You want to be getting, it's really important to be getting as much nutrition as possible. We already know We already know that our soil isn't up to par. The carrots we're eating today have way less nutrition than just 100 years ago. So juicing is really good. You know, when you drink carrot juice, you're eating 5 or 6 carrots versus would you sit down and eat 5 big carrots? I wouldn't. So doing juices every day, green juices, carrot juice, beet juices. Actually, beets have been shown to reduce cesium-137 in rat studies. Beets have this Plants are just so incredible. Beets have this ability to actually pull the cesium from your body, so making sure you're getting a lot of plant food. So juicing is really good. If you don't have a juicer, get one. I really recommend the Breville, and you want to get a juicer that has a big hole because you can get the cheaper ones for like $30 that have a small hole, but that's going to take you so long. It'll take like 45 minutes to make juice because you have to chop everything. So just spend a little more money and get one that has a large hole. You can put full apples, cucumbers, you can just throw things in there. It makes your juicing time from, you know, it cuts it by a huge amount, by like 20 minutes of time saving. So, oops, sorry. Juicing, green smoothies, any of the microgreens like the algaes. Algaes are really good. Wheatgrass, you know, like those greens powders you can buy. There's wheatgrass, barley grass, spirulina, chlorella, all the algaes. You can buy them individually or in blends. You should be taking those every single day. First of all, to strengthen your system, but those also have a binding effect. And this is what I found is a lot of these things are 2-in-1. So certain supplements you can take, they will strengthen your system and at the same time help to detox it. And the microgreens are one of these. So I really like Vitamineral Greens. I know this brand is a little controversial because Mike Adams said they have heavy metals, but there's a difference between heavy metals that are bound in food. I mean, keep in mind iron is a heavy metal, and that's something we definitely need. So my body responds really well to this, and I just like how you know, it's like alfalfa, spirulina, kelp, has enzymes, has probiotics, that has so much in it. It's kind of expensive, so just do what you can do. I know Trader Joe's has greens powders, that's like $10. I mean, this was $60, but at Whole Foods you can buy this size for $10. It's probably not the same quality, but it's better than nothing. So just do what you can afford, and just remember anything is better than nothing. Don't say like, oh, you can't get the best, so you're not going to do it. So the green powders are really good. Chlorophyll is the lifeblood of plants. Chlorophyll is the element that gives the greenness to the plants, and chlorophyll has a really strong detoxing effect. Again, pulling everything that doesn't belong in you out, pulling and strengthening at the same time. So chlorophyll is really good. Just getting, again, a lot of green plant food. I can't stress this enough. There's so many kinds of greens, you know, and mix it up. Don't just eat kale. Don't just eat spinach. Don't just eat chard, dandelion. There's so many. You know, lamb's quarters is something I got at the farmer's market, which I've fallen in love with. Lamb's quarters. It's just a type of green. So eat as many greens as you can. You can supplement with chlorophyll tablets or chlorophyll juice if you'd like. Just making sure that you're really getting a lot of chlorophyll into you. The bee products, so propolis is the waxy resin from the beehive, royal jelly, and bee pollen. These are all going to really strengthen your immune system so that these things just bounce off of you. I would advise get away from most mineral supplements because they can leave gunky residue. But if you need to take a mineral supplement, look into Shilajit, Shiljit. It's spelled Shilajit, pronounced Shilajit. That's one of the purest, strongest, most powerful mineral supplements you can take. You also want to be making sure you're getting up calcium and magnesium. Magnesium is a muscle relaxant. I've heard that up to 90% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. And so if you're not getting enough magnesium, which most people aren't, we used to get in our water supply when we were drinking river water, so that's why we're deficient, because it's not in our water anymore. The magnesium is going to tense your muscles, and a lot of these toxicities are stored in fat and muscle tissue. Your fat and your muscle are kind of weaved together, and so by having enough magnesium, it allows that release. So making sure you're getting enough calcium, magnesium. There are some high-quality supplements. If you need to take a supplement, just make sure you're getting a high-quality one. You know, go to Vitamin Shop, talk to the employees, you know, buy the most expensive one, or do your research and go on Amazon. That can be really good. Just making sure you're getting high quality mineral supplements. What else? So iodine. So radioactive iodine is a big problem. It lodges into your thyroid. Your thyroid needs iodine to function and perform so many tasks. This is probably part of the reason why people are losing their hair is because their thyroid is damaged. So there is some controversy about supplementing with iodine based off the research I've done. So again, just disclaimer, this is just my experience. I think we should be taking potassium iodine. This brand is the most popular brand on Amazon, Crow's. I would advise against taking it internally because it's very easy to take too much iodine, which can be toxic for you and can actually send your thyroid into a hyper state. So what I do is I just put some iodine on my wrist. You can see the yellow thing, and your body will absorb it at the rate it needs to absorb it. They say that if it takes less than 24 hours for the color to go away, you're deficient because your body's sucking it up so fast. And so keep doing it, keep applying it until the yellow stays on you for at least 24 hours, then you're caught up. Seaweeds can also be a good source of iodine. Seaweeds are really good for just detoxing. Again, just pulling things out, strengthening the system. But you want to make sure you're eating seaweeds from the Atlantic Ocean, everything from the Atlantic Ocean. Do not eat any fish from the Pacific Ocean. All of the fish are contaminated. The entire ocean is contaminated. They tested the bluefin tuna, which is the maguru, the red sushi. 100% of fish in the Pacific Ocean tested positive for cesium-137. So you want to stay away from that. Again, another reason to follow a plant-based diet is bioaccumulation. The radioactive elements accumulate in muscle tissue. And so when you're eating a steak, let's say, you eat 100 calories worth of beef versus 100 calories worth of beans. Because of bioaccumulation, it accumulates in the tissues. It's more concentrated. It accumulates exponentially, actually. That could be, I can give you more information on that too if you'd like, of how radiation accumulates in muscle tissues, but it accumulates exponentially. And so when you're eating meat, when you're eating meat or milk, you're getting massive levels of radiation, more so than you're eating the caloric equivalent in a plant form. So again, following a plant-based diet as much as possible and only eating fish from the Atlantic Ocean. In terms of the specific pulling action, sulfur activates glutathione, which is one of the major antioxidants, which again binds to these radioactive elements and pulls them out of your system. So you want to be eating sulfur-rich foods. Raw garlic is one of the best sources of sulfur, as well as onions and the cruciferous veggies like cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. I eat a clove of raw garlic every day. I'll drink this greens powder in water in the morning and then eat a clove of raw garlic. And I do that on an empty stomach, and well, first of all, it's a great way to start the day, greens powder and garlic. You do not need caffeine after that. But it also has a really strong pulling motion, pulling radioactive elements out of you. The sulfurs, the algae we already talked about. Pectin. Pectin is the fiber. Again, a plant-based diet, you want things to be getting out of you, not stuck. So you want your digestion to be working optimally. So you should be taking enzymes with every meal. I like the brand Pyridine. Again, they're expensive, so just do what you can afford. Taking enzymes and probiotics daily, just to get your digestive system in good shape so it can actually eliminate these. You eliminate through your skin. You have 5 major elimination organs that you eliminate from. But a big one is your intestines, your colon. So you want to make sure that your digestion's in good shape, taking enzymes, taking probiotics, and eating enough fiber, and specifically pectin. Pectin is the fiber that's in apples and pears. And pectin, studies have shown, a lot of these studies were done from Chernobyl, and seeing, it's kind of, if you Google Chernobyl's children or lost children of Chernobyl, you'll see this was like, people have struggled with this. And so a lot came out of Chernobyl and the 3 Mile Island incidents. Definitely Fukushima is worse than those, but people have been doing this research. Things have come of it. There's a certain algae, I think it's called BioLife. I haven't tried it personally, but the researcher created this. It's 4 different algae strains specifically designed for children who were in the vicinity of Chernobyl, and it worked really well at helping them to survive. I think it's BioLife. I think I can verify that. So pectin, seaweeds with water. Oh, so pectin, I can't remember if I said this, it's in apples and pears. So making sure you're eating at least 1 apple or 1 pear a day, because that's where pectin is the fiber in those fruits. With water, you want to be drinking distilled water, which is just pure H2O. Distilled water has a desire to pull things into it, so it'll, on a very small level, pull these radioactive elements. It can also pull minerals, but as long as you're doing the juices and eating super healthy, you don't need to worry about it pulling out minerals. If you can't get distilled water, deionized water is the best. You can go to the grocery stores. They have those big machines. Mango fills up a 5-gallon jug every other day or so for us, which is awesome. You can also have it delivered maybe. Just look at different options, but you definitely want to be getting high-quality water. So we've covered strengthening the system, the pulling action, the binding, which is, the sulfur, the algae, the pectins, and the clays. You can take clay, and clay has this magnetic pulling effect. So you can take bentonite clay or zeolite, and these were actually used in Chernobyl, sprinkled on the earth. Chernobyl just poofed, exploded, all these radioactive elements in the earth. They covered the earth with zeolite and bentonite clay to to bind to it and neutralize it. So you can take those internally, zeolite and bentonite. You can take those. And you can also take baths. So this brings us to the elimination aspect. So clay baths were used a lot during Chernobyl, and they've also been used in the military. Clay or baking soda. Sodium bicarbonate can also neutralize the effects of certain radioactive elements. So so there's sodium bentonite or calcium bentonite. Sodium bentonite is a little better for detoxing. Calcium is a little better for remineralizing, but you could use either of them. I mean, they're both gonna detox you. So just filling up the bathtub and taking a bath of these clays, it's gonna pull it out of your whole body. So I recommend you do that a few times a week. That's something that I'm just starting to do. I mean, I've been doing the raw garlic, the greens, the algaes for a few months now, but I'm gonna start adding the clays in because I'm still losing hair. And also sweating. So that's another main reason. Your lymphatic system is the sewage system of your body, and so you're pulling all these gunky elements, like cesium is stored in your heart and in your endocrine tissues, strontium is stored in your bones. That one's really hard to get out, but not impossible. Nothing's impossible. And iodine in your thyroid, and so we want to take these things that kind of like bind to them, and then in terms of getting it out, sweating you have to sweat. So as part of, I'm actually embarking on a 5-month detox to kind of deal with this situation, and I'll let you know how it goes. Let me know if any of you want specific details on my detox. I spent a long time, like months, designing this, understanding how these elements work, understanding how to get them out, so I can give you that information if you'd like. This video is getting to be so long, it's just there's so much information. So taking the clay baths, taking the baking soda baths, sweating. I'm going to be doing hot yoga or Pilates every day just to get that heat going, or exercising every day. If you don't want to exercise, you need to be using a sauna, specifically a far infrared sauna. It's incredible for detoxification. It can cure cancer. Infrared saunas are amazing. You can find a spa in the area, or just Google far infrared sauna with your city name and you'll find somewhere that you can go and use one. So that's it for the elimination aspect, just taking the baths and sweating, of course, and making sure your digestion is in shape and you're having good poops every morning, which is because the fiber, the probiotics, and the enzymes will get you there. So thanks for watching. And again, I just want to, a really important thing too is a positive attitude. And, this has been shown time and time again, the power of positive thinking, the power of prayer, the power of belief is like one of the most powerful forces in the universe. And so, again, like not feeling too hopeless, not feeling too discouraged, just recognizing that we have so many tools. We don't know what's going to happen, trying not to live in a state of fear, and just keeping our head in the right space. And that's something that's been kind of hard for me. I think it's hard for a lot of people, but just recognizing we can do that. So, yeah, so that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you've been losing a lot of hair, please let me know. And if you think let me know if you have been, where you live, and if you think it's related to Fukushima, or other things. I know there's been like crazy radioactive plants, like dandelions, because they absorb so much water. There's dandelions that have 7 heads on them, and there's online groups of people documenting all of these weird plants that are sprouting up, especially on the West Coast, that are completely just this is what you'd expect to see, deformed plants. So anyway, let me know where you're located if you're having hair loss, and if you want to know more about my detox I'm doing, this 5-month detox, let me know and I can give you more details. So if you like this video, please like this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.